Good morning. Thank you for joining today's webinar, which addresses the question of whether it's time to make the move to the cloud. During the webinar, you may submit questions in the right-hand panel on your screen, and there will be time at the end of the presentation to address them. Today's presenter is Debra O'Connell, Principal Solutions Manager at Edgewater Ranzel. Debra has spent 25 years working in financial systems, 20 plus with the Oracle EPM, Hyperion Suite and Hotline, consulting, pre-sales, implementation, and administration. After working with microcontrol, enterprise, HFM, S-base planning, and FCM, and dealing with on-premise configuration issues, Debra has shifted her focus more recently to cloud products. Debra?
Hi, thanks, Joey. So yes, today we're going to talk about the top reasons to evaluate FCCS. I'm going to take you through a little refresher course on what is in FCCS, and then really spend most of our time talking about some of the rumors that are out there. All the time I go into customers and I hear them say, well, I read on Google that not to go to FCCS for this reason. So we're going to talk about those. And then if we have time at the end, please submit questions to Joe and I can answer them. And if there's anything I can't answer, I'm happy to follow up afterwards. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the reasons that we're hearing that why people are evaluating a move to FCCS. This is based on my last year and a half of experience, really spending day in and day out talking to customers, and then I actually polled our BDMs or salespeople to listen to some of the reasons, and hopefully some of these are going to resonate with you folks. So the first big one is using an Excel-based consolidation. We have lots of customers who are on outdated software at the end of their life cycle, so maybe they actually need to make a move because they're on such old software. Perhaps not happy with the current cloud solution that they're using for reporting. We're actually surprised at how many people went to initial maybe version ones of products out there for the cloud and are realizing they're not as robust as they wanted, so they want to take a move over. Another reason, the upgrade process is pretty burdensome and not cost efficient. So as you're going to see, one of the cool things with FCCS is that, and all the EPM cloud products, is that you keep getting updates, so you don't have to go through a lengthy upgrade process. It's really nice. Lots of companies these days are trying to cut costs, and they're leaning towards outsourcing their IT departments. We're finding a lot of our customers have legacy applications. Maybe they have a 10-year-old HFM application and it's time to redesign. It really isn't handling their needs, and instead of just going through and redesigning in the old software, they want to look at something new at the same time. Lately, this is a big push, I think, with even Sarbanes-Oxley, even though it's been around for a while. A lot of people need to automate some of the tasks, really get closed management in there. So FCCS has a lot of that built in. The supplemental data that's in all different systems, they want to consolidate it and put it into one place. Reason number 9 is leveraging EPRCS management reporting. For those of you unfamiliar with EPRCS, that's a narrative reporting product that comes with a built-in report writer that accesses all the different cloud products within the Oracle EPM space. So if you want to use that report writer, you need to be on one of the cloud products, and it's actually a really robust report writer. A couple others that I got from our salespeople. Sometimes your hardware is at the end of the life, so you're looking at whether you want to go enter a new lease or maybe buy new hardware, or is it better just to go to a cloud product where you don't have to worry about that? This is one I've been hearing for the past 25 years, is that finance can't get any help from IT. So we have customers who say, I just want something where I don't have to rely on the IT department at all. I can just manage this myself and let Oracle manage the servers. We have actually an implementation going on right now where they're going through a big acquisition, and they realized that their current systems just couldn't support the activity that was going to be required, the new consolidation requirements. So they moved to FCCS. And then finally, just if you're out of support on your current product. So if you're using an older version of HFM, or we have customers that we've spoken to that are on old legacy IBM systems that haven't been supported for a couple years, that's when it's really a good time to move to FCCS. So hopefully, if you're listening today, one of these reasons is hitting home for you. Okay, so with that said, let's just do a little review of FCCS. We're going to start out with the Oracle EPM Cloud. Again, this is a picture that I drew, perhaps actually my teenager drew it for me. And this is just showing kind of the whole landscape. So this over here, these dark blue boxes here are the on-premises legacy Hyperion products. So on-premises planning, HFM and enterprise, on-premises FCM, Financial Close Manager, and then SBase. So in the new cloud world, those are the pretty clouds here. It's a little bit different now. So we're going to talk about FCCS today. So what FCCS is really is a combination of HFM and then the Financial Close Manager and the supplemental data management pieces of FCM. And we have this up and down arrow with PBCS or ePBCS because FCCS is built on the same platform. So it's the same look and feel, lots of the same functionality, and really there's zero learning curve there because all of the forms maintenance, the reports, the dimension maintenance, it's all the same with FCCS and PBCS. And also FCCS has an SBase engine supporting it. So it's really SBase now. It's not just the relational database that HFM had or the legacy, what do they call it, proprietary database of enterprise. And then a couple other points just to show here is that ARM, which was the Account Reconciliation Manager, that's now in a different product called ARCS. Now ARCS and FCCS can talk to each other, but it is a separate license and a separate product. And then this new OAC, which is the Oracle Analytics Cloud, is where SBase kind of falls into play. So we still have the legacy, the SBase database within FCCS and PBCS, but if it's a pure SBase play, then that's going into this kind of Oracle Analytics Cloud, which has a new report writer and is really robust, and our customers are really loving that one too. So this is the current EPM landscape. Let's talk about FCCS. So out of the box functionality, all the calculations, hierarchies, reports, and dashboards for quicker deployments. And we don't need a lot of scripting or customizations anymore. So when you create a new FCCS application, you already have a lot of artifacts pre-built. You have built-in task flow management and workflow. So all of the approvals and that stuff is in here. Reporting and dashboards. So these dashboards are kind of the next generation of composite forms from planning. So it's very easy to create these. It's click and drag. It's not heavy programming. It's not Java programming or SQL programming. It's user-friendly and then fully integrated with the Oracle EPM Cloud. So you're going to see that we can actually, within FCCS, talk to the other products on the cloud. So three major components of FCCS. And I bring this up because when people initially go to look at FCCS, what we're finding most of the time is they're really just thinking about the consolidation piece, so kind of that HFM or enterprise replacement. But really, there's three parts, the consolidation part, the closed calendar part, and the supplemental part. So the consolidation part is exactly what you're thinking. It's the dimensionality. One of the really interesting things that Oracle's starting to do, and they did this with ePBCS, and they're doing this with FCCS, is that they have a lot of predefined dimensionality in there. So there's a lot of structures in there. There's a pre-built cash flow in there. So you're not starting from scratch the way that you used to when you would create a new, let's say, HFM application and there were no accounts in there and there was no entity structure. We have a pre-built structure so that right away you can map your data into this structure and be up and running very quickly. And then all of the other things that are kind of part of the consolidation. So journal entries, you'll see we have data source tracking, workflow, smart view, and then intercompany eliminations, translations. So really all of those items that are part of the consolidation that kind of set the consolidation product apart from PBCS, which is more tailored for planning. This is really to finish your complex consolidation. And then two other pieces, which again came from the legacy FCM. So the close calendar. So this is putting in all of the different tasks within your close, who's supposed to be working on it, when it's due, maybe approvals and alerts so that people are getting emails saying, hey, listen, this is due, get working on it. So that's within FCCS's close calendar piece. And then also the supplemental data management piece. So the supplemental data, we'll talk about it a little more in a few minutes, but this is really kind of your textual data. This is the data forms really improved with a lot more functionality. So it's a new interesting piece of this. And just so you know as well, we have customers and we talk to a lot of prospects who are only interested in this piece right now. They don't want to stick with on-prem FCM. They have a consolidation that's working okay right now. So they're just actually even just interested in this piece on the right, which is pretty cool. Okay, so just to revamp the consolidation, the system dimensions, there's 11 of them, 11 plus some optional ones. So these are all pretty familiar: scenario, year, period, view, entity, account, intercompany. We've had these going back to the microcontrol days. A currency dimension, a consolidation dimension, and a data source dimension. We're going to talk about these on the next slide. So this is different from the legacy products, and I'm going to show you why, but these are pre-built, and we have a pre-built movement dimension. One of the things that Oracle realized from looking at all of their customers' applications was that our customers were using a custom to track movements. Or back in the enterprise days, they were using a sub-account table to track them. So to track the opening balances and the changes, to be able to back into a CTA line on every single line on the balance sheet and calculate a cash flow. So they built this in so that you no longer have to write the rules to do it. So it's really nice. And then some additional optional dimensions too. So if you need multi-GAAP reporting, so if you're reporting in local GAAP, UK GAAP, IFRS, whatever the different reporting requirements are, you can set up different ledgers within the system and then either have it make adjustments to go to the other GAAP, or you can, we have customers who will load in local GAAP and IFRS, and then they'll squeeze out the difference in an adjustment bucket. So lots of flexibility there. Just for those of you, I'm assuming a lot of folks are coming from HFM, and just one of the nice things that they did was they simplified the value dimension. The value dimension kind of had a lot of stuff going on with it, where they had where you would load in at the entity currency. You could do this on the fly kind of currency translation to every other currency that you had set up in the system, as long as you actually clicked on translate. And then the advanced consolidation, where you were figuring out the eliminations and the contribution to the parents and all of that good stuff. So this was all within one dimension. There was a lot going on in there, and they simplified this by actually breaking this into 3 separate dimensions. So the consolidation dimension is where we're figuring out the proportion that goes up to the parent if you have advanced consolidation needs like that. The eliminations are getting booked in here as well, so that's where the eliminations are going to get stored on an entity by entity basis. We have this data source dimension. It's not really exactly the same as this, but it's similar. This is where we can track where we're loading data from. So in this case, we have a bucket here for journals input. We have buckets for data inputs, so that would be data forms. And you can expand this, so if you want to be able to see right within FCCS which general ledger a piece of data came from, you can see it here in this data source dimension. And then the third piece of this is the currency. So this is the entity currency, is where I load all of my data. I'm calculating to my default parent currency, and then I can set up all different reporting currencies as well to do that on the fly translation to the other reporting currencies, so that I don't have to, in my dimension, in my org dimension, set up all of those kind of, dare I say, fake parents, so a fake pounds entity, so I can do pounds reporting. I can do this all within the dimension. So this is really nice. It's a lot more streamlined, even though it's 1 to 3 dimensions than the value dimension was. Okay, so let's talk about Close Manager. So this is a work list of open tasks, and this gives us the ability to online see what the process of my close is. So I have a lot going on in here. I can see in here, I need an authorization. This is showing me an alert. It goes up to the top of my list saying you need to do those reconciliations. These are some journal entries that are showing up in here. So instead of constantly having to go into the journals module to see if I have anything that needs to be posted, I can do that in here. And then I can have all different tasks. So reconciliations, anything that's part of my close process, I'm going to put in here. And then I can look at a history to see how we're doing during this close. So this again is trying to avoid all the phone calls and the emails saying, is that done? Have they done that reconciliation? Can you call up your staff person and yell at them? You have all of this within here within Close Manager. And then the supplemental data piece. So this is the management of additional details. I kind of joke that this is data forms on steroids, because it's the exact data forms that you would be creating, but now you have this additional flexibility to have dates in here. You can have drop downs for different types. We can put in validations, and all of this additional detail that you're definitely collecting right now offline in spreadsheets, or maybe you're getting emails with the different pieces, you can have brought right into the system and have a workflow around it. You can keep it very locked down so that people aren't entering different date formats and that kind of stuff. It's so very easy to use. They can either load data up through a flat file to this. They can use SmartView to connect to this supplemental data. And then we have dashboards that are going to show the status of who submitted what. So really, this is a really nice part of FCCS that probably isn't the first thing that people think of when they start looking at FCCS, but once we show them FCCS, this becomes a powerful part of their implementation. Okay, I know everybody, it's such a buzzword for the last couple years, cloud, cloud, cloud. Just a couple bullets on the advantages of the Oracle Cloud. So again, you're not buying hardware. Their uptime is phenomenal. They're going to do all of the patches and updates for you, and they come out on a 4-week update cycle. So right now in my test pod over the weekend, I got some new functionality, which actually I'm going to show you some of the connections functionality. So it's really nice. So in the 2 different pods, you get, they're on a slightly different cycle, so you can do some testing on them. They're going to do all the backups and maintenance. You don't need a heavy IT admin to do this anymore. It's actually very easy. If you want to, you can integrate with your local Active Directory so that you don't have to constantly be remembering passwords and typing in IDs and passwords. It'll integrate with your single sign-on. Lots of cloud documentation in here. Obviously, Oracle hasn't produced books, and printed them out for a couple years, but it's in here and it's constantly being updated, which is nice. And this is all hosted. This is a really big one, is that this is all on Oracle's cloud environment. So there's no reliance on third-party vendors. I know a lot of the solutions that are in the marketplace right now, they're not on their own cloud. They're relying maybe on a Microsoft cloud to host the software, and this is all within Oracle. So it's kind of, one throat to choke. We like to joke. So those are some of the advantages of the cloud. I just bring it up because it's become, everyone just kind of assumes that everybody knows what's on the cloud and what that means, and this is just an overview. Okay, again, I'm making this big leap that a lot of you are listening to are on HFM. So just to point out some of the similarities, so the built-in financial intelligence, the intercompany journals, forms. So now they've combined grids and forms into one piece, which is forms. I know, so that some of the stuff like consolidation statuses, which you couldn't see on a form in HFM, you can see now on a form. So they're now combined into one thing. On the fly currency translation, security down to the most minute level of detail, an approval process with process management, smart view. So again, it's the same smart view and it's the same financial reports. So there's no learning curve there. It's very easy to transition from HFM to FCCS because those tools that you're using right now haven't changed. And then FDMEE or data management with drill through if you want it, and it's thin client, so there's nothing to install. Then some of the big improvements, I've gone through some of these, so I don't have to read all of these off, but really the cloud infrastructure, the S-base, multidimensionality, supplemental data. This is one I guess I haven't talked about, is mobile access, so you can view everything on your phone, on your tablet, and it's the same interface, you have the same functionality. Your administrators don't have to create a set of reports for mobile versus for online. It's all in the same place. The EPRCS integration. And then they have what they call the Online Learning Academy. So it's all these little videos, 3 or 4 minutes, to teach you how to do stuff. So if you say, I don't remember how to add an account, you can click on a little video and see that right online. So it's really nice. So lots of improvements over on-premises HFM. Okay, so I talked about all the great stuff in FCCS, and let's spend the rest of the time talking about what we've heard of why people are afraid of FCCS, or kind of what Oracle's competitors are saying why you shouldn't look at FCCS. Okay, so I have these broken out one by one on slides, but just, to summarize them, no alternate roll-ups, the workspace is different for all the different products, configurable translation, calc scripts, advanced ownership isn't handled well, not enough dimensionality, you can't copy or clear data, there's no integration with task management, and then the financial reports are lacking. So these are the top, I guess I should have done the top 10, but top 9 reasons that we keep hearing of why people aren't looking at FCCS. And we're going to go through one by one and explain why this is all fake. This is not real. Okay, so the first one, the first kind of customer issue is we need alternate roll-ups of our data. And then FCCS says, yes, the first release of FCCS did not let you have multiple roll-ups. Most customers have multiple views, and now it's fully supported in every dimension. So this is Essbase. So for those of you that are familiar with Essbase, this is taking advantage of the shared members functionality, where my first instance of this is the, I guess, the primary member, and then I can do an alternate roll-up of the shared member. So this is across all of my dimensions now. I'm able to do this to have alternate roll-ups. So this is no longer an issue. I have a second slide on it. No. And then the one kind of interesting thing with this too is that when you're, this is when we set up everything, it's all Essbase terminology, so dynamic calcs and all of that stuff. So for our Essbase customers, this is an easy learning curve to remember, just to put this as a shared member. And then also when I make changes on the primary member, it's also going to ripple through the changes into the secondary member. And this is just like HFM and Enterprise, where my eliminations are going to work everywhere. So if I have multiple roll-ups, so if I have transactions between 1 and 5, for example, when I'm doing my consolidation, that's going to eliminate when I look at North America. But when I look at domestic, because 05 is not part of my domestic roll-up, that's not going to eliminate within domestic. So it's that same functionality that we're used to with HFM. So workspace for all products. So this is a new thing. My customers don't want to have to log into multiple products. So actually over the weekend, we got this new great functionality where I can set up connections to other pods so that from within my workspace, I can just click on a link and go into another pod. So for example, and here this is within my connections, this is my navigator. I can click on ARCs and have it launch ARCs right from there without me having to log in. Obviously the security comes through, so if I don't have security to ARCs, it's not going to let me do that. Just I don't want to make anyone nervous. And then within my workspace, I can configure my cards as well. So maybe if I want to run a report from EPRCS, maybe I want to open up a form from another system or look at a dashboard, maybe from planning or another FCCS application, I can have cards here where it's going to be seamless to my user, where it's just going to pop it open as if I was in the same pod. This is very, very cool functionality. And again, this was rolled out just this month. It's great. Configurable translation. So the issue is we have complicated foreign exchange requirements. And so with FCCS now, we can modify our default translation rates. So whether it's periodic or year to date, and then the account to use, this is a default for everything. On a member by member basis, I can go in and put in which FX rate to use. So maybe I want to use a historical rate override, or maybe I just want to load in my translated historical amount. So maybe my 1 million for my common stock, that's just what I want to load in and override it. I can set that up here on my members. And then if I have very specific requirements for a particular slice of the data, in this case, for whatever reason, I just picked long-term liabilities for Italy, I can override it in there too and have additional rules. So very, very configurable now. We haven't come into a case yet that's not gonna, where this isn't gonna handle the FX requirements. Okay, calc scripts. So the issue is the initial releases didn't give us real calc script functionality, and the customers are saying, well, we need to create them that are really too complicated for member formulas. So this is functionality that's coming out next month, custom calculations, and it looks and feels just like Calc Manager. So you can have it in a graphical view or a script view, and it's the same exact syntax as your Essbase rules, so the learning curve is pretty small. So this is the same relative functions and remove and fixes and conditionals, and all of the stuff that we have in Essbase and planning is going to be now available in FCCS. And we even are going to pick the places for the rules to run. So you say if you want it run after opening balances are calculated, at the local currency level, after translation, lots of flexibility and functionality in here. And again, for this is not VB script anymore. This is more of a standard scripting language, and I think our customers are going to really like having this functionality. So again, you still have the member formulas that are on a member by member basis, but this is giving additional functionality. Okay, advanced ownership. This is a biggie. This is something that our customers were saying, well, in HFM, I'm really taking advantage of managed ownership and I need to do that again. So this is something that's coming next month as well in October, and we're going to be able to put in ranges and have the default consolidation method. So that's coming in October. And then on, we would specify this for the entity. It's going to default to a particular consolidation method, and then we specify it by scenario, year, and period. And if we want to, we can create overrides for each case. More than 3 custom dimensions. So the issue is we have a lot of detailed reporting, and we need more than what's in there. And really with the FCCS, we're finding that most of our customers' dimensionality that they have right now, actually they're okay with the 3 dimensions. But if it's not, this is coming next month as well. It's called extended dimensionality, and you'll be able to use up to 6 dimensions. So copy and clear functions. So this was something that was kind of missing in the initial releases of the product, and it's there now. So if we want to copy data from a source to a target, we can copy it. They're very smart with this too, where if you're copying journal entries, it's going to copy the journal entry. And if you're copying supplemental data, it's going to put it to a new spot. So this is really nice functionality. And then the same thing with clearing. And one of the best parts that they've done with the clearing is everyone says, well, what's going to happen to my journals data with clearing? And actually what's going to happen is that it's going to take all of those journals and unpost them and put them back to an approved status. If there are supplemental data forms, those are going to get unposted as well and put back to the approved status. So they're not just forgetting about that detail. Task management integration. So this is automating closed tasks. Maybe you're in a hybrid environment, and now we have the ability to link into HFM if you wanted to, or planning. I think Essbase and a lot of the on-premises general ledgers. So if you want to bring those into your closed management, you have that ability too. And then finally, the financial reports. So the initial versions of the cloud financial reports were missing a lot of functionality, such as automatic calculations, conditional suppressions, conditional formatting, and now both report writers are totally on par. The nice thing too is that if you're coming from an on-premises solution, the functionality and the look and feel is exactly the same. So there's no learning curve here. You're setting up conditional suppression rules, for example, the same way that you did before. And the nice thing here is there's no local software that gets installed. This is all cloud-based, browser-based. So you don't have to worry about different versions on different people's computers. And with that said, Joey, I think I'm almost at the top of the hour, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Deborah.
Okay.
Okay. First question. Is there a problem if the parent of the entities are different currencies between the alternate roll-ups?
No, it's actually smart enough to know when you're doing the consolidation which currency to go to. So when I'm specifying in a report the entity that I'm using, it's actually going to do the fully, I believe it's called fully qualified name. So it'll say Europe.France, or if it's something where we're going to maybe US dollars, maybe it'll say domestic.France, and it'll know based on me making that specification which parent currency it is.
Okay, thank you. Next question. We run HFM in classic mode, so can we migrate to FCCS, or do we need to be in EPMA mode?
Oh, no, it'll be totally fine in classic mode. Moving that over, taking the text extract and importing it into FCCS won't be a problem. Okay.
In terms of shared members, if you share a parent in HFM, by default, all children get replicated. Does the same thing happen in FCCS for alternate hierarchies?
It's such a good question. So one of the interesting things with SBase is that when you have that second shared member, if it's a parent, when you look in the organization, it does not show you all of the detail. So all of the detail is there and will be brought over, but when you're drilling, you won't necessarily see the detail. It's something that's with SBase as well. But the children are there, you just won't necessarily see them when you're navigating.
Okay. How are consolidation times in FCCS compared to on-premise?
We are finding right now that the consolidation times are faster than on premises. I think part of it really is, if you think about it, there's so much less unused accounts and entities and stuff like that, that there's perhaps a little bit less data and overhead in there since it's a new system. So we are finding that they're pretty good, that they're faster than HFM.
Is there a schedule for when load scripts are coming to the data load module?
That is an excellent question. I do not know that, but I will find that one out. And Joe, you'll get the contact information, and I will find that one out for sure. But I have not heard anything about that. I think that the reliance really is on using cloud data management, which is free and built in and has a lot of the mapping capability and the advanced formats. And you can also use EPM Automate to automate some of those loads. But I will find out about that one because that's a good question.
Okay. What tools are used to migrate HFM Classic apps to FCCS? Is it EPM Automate or something else?
Right now, we've been using a lot of templates using, dare I say, flat files, but we've been using flat files to do the automation. Now, one of the things that is in FCCS and in the cloud products that we didn't have in HFM is this idea of doing maintenance in Excel. So we're able to leverage Excel to do a lot of that move over, and a lot of copying and pasting, and it's kind of easier to look in a flat file. But we are developing kind of batch files to use to help automate that process.
Any idea what other functionality is coming in the October release?
So the biggies are the calculation scripts. And again, this is all, based on Oracle. This is what Oracle is telling us. So I'm not promising that anything is in there. But what Oracle is telling us is that the advanced ownership and the calculation manager and the extended dimensionality, those are the three big ones that are coming. Those are the three that they're really working hard to get in there to fix. Beyond October, the next kind of big push is beefing up the journals module.
Okay. Is there a migration utility for HFM to FCCS?
There isn't a wizard like there was kind of, different versions of HFM where it was wizard based, but we're definitely experienced now with moving data from HFM, so our consultants have templates and stuff like that that's going to help speeden the process.
We use task flows in HFM on-premise. Does FCCS have this functionality?
So the task flows, so the close manager task flows are pretty similar to this. And there's also something called robotics, which is the other thing that's coming out this year, where they're going to help more of that kind of automation. So having more scheduling of tasks, maybe loading data every hour, stuff like that. That's the other thing that's coming this year. And they're calling it robotics.
Okay. And a question about data source. HFM can have custom members for analyzing IC data separately. Does data source have this?
To look at the intercompany details? Yes, you could add in an additional member in the data source dimension to segregate out your intercompany transactions if you choose to. It's fully configurable.
Okay. And then one last question.
Sure.
Is it possible to disable the system built members in hierarchies and use customized members? Like in the, for example, in the account dimension under the P&L?
Yeah, so the way that they have it right now is that if you delete any of those today, In one of the subsequent updates, they're probably going to re-add them, is what they're going to do. But it is definitely something that they've been asking, that people have been asking for. So I think it's on their to-do list, on Oracle's to-do list, to possibly do that in the future. But today, if I delete FCCS total assets, in a future update, it'll potentially reappear.
Okay, one more good question here, if we can just get this one in. We completely built our chart of accounts. DM is supposed to give you the ability to import journal text files, but we were told that it can't be done. What is the best practice for mapping the dimensionality in journals in order to load to FCCS?
So are you talking, I guess I don't have my question back. But in terms of the way the cloud data management is right now, you can't load in the detail, so the debits and credits. You can load in journals through the journals module, though. You would have the ability to do imports and exports. And my understanding is that with FDMEE, we can pull in journals, and FDMEE, if you own it, is still works with the FCCS. It's not it means that you have a little piece of your implementation that's still on-prem, but you can leverage, you should be able to leverage FDMEE as well to load in those journals.
Okay, and to clarify, this was HFM to FCCS.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're out of time.
Lots of good questions.
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, I'm glad there's a lot of interest in that. And then just a note, additional questions may be emailed to us at info@ranzel.com, and we'll respond to you via email or by phone. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website shortly, where you may also find a number of previous webinars posted. We hope you gained insight from today's webinar. Please visit our website to learn about and register for upcoming webinars, and follow us on social media to get alerts about upcoming events, training, and webinars. Our next webinar is on September 14th to help those who own Oracle eBusiness Suite gain an awareness of and insight into the value that can be gained from this existing investment just by implementing Endeca extensions that give end users a deeper understanding of data and address business challenges by offering custom dashboards and advanced searches to display key metrics, drillable graphs, and alerts. On September 27th, the fourth webinar in our EPBCS series will walk attendees through a day in the life of an analyst tasked with modeling and analyzing a plan or forecast with both short and long-term components using the robust capabilities of EPBCS with strategic modeling. So visit our website to learn more about and register for any of these upcoming webinars. Much thanks to our audience today for all of your questions and participation and involvement in today's webinar. We find that very helpful as we plan our presentations. And much thanks as well to Debra for sharing her knowledge and expertise during this presentation. This concludes today's webinar.